It's so funny how in like certain philosophies, right? Like stoicism is like something a lot of self-improvement people look into, right? And it's like one of the big things in stoicism is having a rational, logical mind. And it's not only in stoicism, I see it in so much self-help books. It's like be logical, be rational in the decisions you make, the things that you do, the actions that you take. And it's because it's like most of the wrong decisions that we make are typically emotional, right? And like I remember like humans in general are just very emotionally reactive, and something Andrew Tate talked about. He's like people react so emotionally so quickly, and it's like boo hoo. There's like worse things in life. There's better things in life. You don't need to like be so like. His example was like having like a flat tire, and people like start crying and like, oh my god, my life sucks. It's like, bro, you have a flat tire, just fix it. Like get it fixed, pay for it, whatever. Right? Life goes on. Like nobody died. You're not gonna like your business didn't go fucking bankrupt. Like nothing that bad happened. You're just like so emotionally reactive, right? And so one thing for like men to do to be more masculine is to like build emotional resilience, right? And on top of that, just being more logical and rational in the way that they're thinking. And I'm working on that right now. And it's still funny because like even though I find myself being more logical now than I was before, it's so like emotions will creep up into you so quickly, and it's like so it happens so often for even for me, right? Like and like this recently, there was this girl in this gym, my gym, right? And I talked to her previously, and you know, I had like a crush on this girl, so emotions were involved. Right? I was like, she's very attractive with this and that, right? So I talked to her after like I didn't talk to her for like we always used to have eye contact, right? And that's why I assumed like maybe there's something there, or whatever, right? Because we would always hold eye contact, we always look at each other, but I never talked to her, right? And like after like months, I finally talked to her, and then I hadn't seen her for like a month, and then when I finally saw her, I like waved hi, and then like I talked to her, but I talked to her about like just general gym stuff. Like I was asking for her machine because I didn't feel like going in and having a conversation with her. And this whole time, right, I felt like, oh, we liked each other. I had a chance, this and that, because I was emotionally involved, right? So my like perception of how everything went, those two interactions were like good in terms of like my chances. And then when I noticed that like she wasn't really feeling me the second time, like when we like talked again after not seeing her for a month, like I was like noticing like, oh, she doesn't look very like intrigued or interested or whatever the case may be, right? Because the first interaction didn't go that well. It ended kind of awkward because like she didn't want to answer one of the questions I asked about her GPA, and she was like, oh, why would I tell you my GPA? I thought she was weird for that. Nonetheless, the second time I feel like she just wasn't interested because like the last time it didn't go so well. And then once I realized it's like I'm not gonna chase this girl, right? Because I don't chase women or whatever, right? You always go for girls that actually like you. Never, if she doesn't like you, don't try to make her like you, because this is not worth it in the end. Nonetheless, right? So I was like, I kind of threw out my emotions like right away. I was like, I don't have a crush on her no more, right? And like I still think she's attractive, but like I wasn't emotionally involved anymore with the idea of like liking her. And I started realizing like my whole perception of the scenario was completely wrong. Like when we talked for the first time, she didn't ask me none of the questions. She was still kind of going on her phone, listening to her music. She didn't ask, like I said, she didn't ask me any questions, so she wasn't intrigued. She was barely holding eye contact. She was like a considerable amount of distance from me, even though we were sharing a machine. And like, the GPA question, I felt like she was so like offended when I asked about her GPA, but it's like, if any girl was intrigued, right, interested, she would have told me her GPA just to make herself look smarter, and like, intelligence is an attractive factor, whatever. Right? And then the second time, I felt like she was kind of like, when I saw her and I waved hi from a distance, she looked like she was just didn't want to say hi or whatever, right? But all of these things I noticed after the fact, right? Because all my emotions were completely gone. So now I could only see like everything that I was seeing in my head. It became a completely logical situation, right? So the first time I was like super emotionally involved. I was like, oh, maybe I have a chance. We were talking this and that. Like, again, I was being a little like delusional, right? As someone is when they like have a crush or whatever, right? But when I got rid of all the feelings, I saw the whole situation as logical. Like I didn't do nothing crazy, right? Like I'm happy I didn't like act upon like trying to go have a conversation with, because I don't like looking like a fiend. I don't like chasing women. So I had the most like basic minimal conversation with her. Second time, like I said, she looked like she wasn't really feeling me or whatever, right? As I had perceived, but she wasn't feeling me from the beginning. I just wanted to think that she was, because it fit the narrative I had in my head, because my perception was skewed due to how much emotions that were involved. And now I'm just not gonna talk to her no more, right? Whatever. Like, nonetheless, when you have emotions involved, your perception of the scenario gets skewed heavily. And that's just not for this scenario, it's for everything. If you ever have emotions involved in a decision you have to make or an action you have to take, this and that, it becomes so much harder to do it, because you're like, oh, I don't want to look dumb, I don't want to be embarrassed, I don't want to do, like, so much things go wrong. that if you just looked at it from a logical perspective, like let's just say like for the girl, like I took mad long to talk to her, right? So it was like every single time I saw her and like we held eye contact, I didn't talk to her. I was like, oh, I don't know what to say. I don't know if I look good. I don't know if she actually likes me, this and that, right? Whatever. If I just thought about it from a logical perspective, I was just like, you know what, this girl, I find her attractive. As a man, I'm a man, she's a woman, let me just go talk to her and see if I even like her, if she like actually likes me, right? That's the most logical thing I could have did. If I just kept my mind blank, went and had like a regular conversation, as because conversation between two humans is normal, it's nothing crazy, but because I had all these emotions involved, I thought it was like such a big thing. Oh, I don't know if she's gonna like me, I don't want to be embarrassed, this and that. So it's like I prolonged this whole situation for no reason. I eventually talked to her, nothing happened, like nothing crazy happened. I didn't like get diarrhea or die or something, as like I made such a big thing in my head or whatever, right? And then, you know, it didn't work out. Time to move on to the next one. It really does not matter. But it's like I'm able to only assess the situation now from a logical perspective because I threw the feelings out. And so it's like whatever you have to do, try to avoid emotionally investing in the situation as much as you can. But I will say, like, I feel like in life, the worthwhile things in life, 70% of them, you need to be emotionally and logically invested, typically logically first, and then get emotional about it, like passionate or whatever, right? 15% of things should be emotional, like strictly for emotional reasons, and 15% should be like logical. Now, these are just random numbers that I just kind of made up, but I realized like if you can be, like, I'm logically and emotionally tied to the gym, so I can keep going and I like going, but like taking cold showers, I don't like taking cold showers, but I know the benefits of it, so I do it for logical reasons. And for like emotional things, like things that like when I have to eat a burger, because I just like eating burgers or whatever, that's just life, right? So it's like a burger isn't necessarily healthy or whatever, but I don't want to live a life where I'm just emotionless and like life sucks. And like the point is not to become emotionless, right? Like if you've ever taken ashwagandha, which I have, you become emotionless and life becomes so boring and ass, like it's not even worth living. And like if you see like super successful people who are emotionless, they're not even happy about the success they have achieved. So the point isn't becoming emotionless, it's just like, you know, removing emotion from decisions and investing in like important or relatively not even important, just things that you should be logical about, like towards your goals or whatever. But in regular life, like towards your family, towards your girlfriend, towards your boyfriend, whatever, you should still have emotions. Towards life, you should have emotions. Eat what you want to eat sometimes. Just like do it very rare, like a 15%, like 15% of the week or 15% of a month or 15% of your life or whatever, right? Just like I said, but make sure it balances out. Like 15%, if you're gonna do like emotional stuff, do logical stuff, but make sure the majority of stuff is emotional and logical. See you on the other side. We're all gonna win, I swear.